this video, we're going to go ahead and join one of the Twitter spaces and put it in this YouTube video and have some commentary about Bitcoin. And if Craig Wright actually pushed the button towards, this entire hyper Bitcoinization moment happening. So let's see if we can make this happen right now. Stand by.
Repower.
Hey,
Jim, everybody.
Hey, man. GM.
How's everybody doing? So this is the Twitter space. I'm really glad to be here. This is freaking great, man. This Twitter
Thanks
space.
for coming, man.
Yeah. No,
Good to
I got
see
your
you.
voicemail. Is it Andreas?
Yeah, Andreas.
Who left me a voicemail?
Oh,
Me,
no, not me.
Bose.
Bose. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
cool. I got your voicemail and we laughed about that. Twitter's got voicemail now.
Yeah.
Super cool. We laughed about that because you probably thought that I was trying to mooch off you and get a free place to stay in London. I'm like, oh yeah,
No.
that was very kind of you and very generous. I would always get my own place, but I would very, very thoughtful of you to allow me to have accommodations.
It was a knee jerk. I was just like, and come stay in my hovel, please.
Oh yeah. I was very thoughtful gesture. I wouldn't take you up on it, but it's thoughtful to ask. It's great to, nice to do it. So
Fair comment. So you are coming here to London for the court case?
Well,
are you definitely?
Am I coming to London for the court case? So it's up in the air right now. I've kind of left it in the hands of CoinGeek for that because they're the ones that are going to have to sponsor, to basically allow me into the courtroom, Calvin and them. So I don't think that anybody can just go in there and do anything they want. I could be wrong. Do you guys know? Have you guys been to the courtroom there?
I believe no, I don't know. It may be a public. It could well be a public thing. I'll find out.
Yeah, that would be like super crucial because right now I don't have any access and I wouldn't want to be out there if I can't get in. And so I'm meeting with CoinGeek was it next week? I have to check the date, but I'm going to do a video with CoinGeek here coming up soon. And we're going to talk, me and Kurt, and Calvin invited me, but it's a matter of just putting it all together. It works on my schedule for sure. It works.
But it's kind of a long period. I mean, what is it, February 6th till middle of April or early April or something?
That's a long period. I mean, it would have to be like a week or two for me. That's probably all I could probably do. It seems like Kurt's going to be there for a long time. Kurt's going to have his whole family there.
Wow.
Yeah. So what is it that you guys are, what is it that you guys are, did you have a subject that you were discussing here today? I saw something
Gavin,
about Craig.
Yeah.
So
let's give you a heads up what we've been doing lately, like since the BSV has been pumping, like every day we've sort of been like loosely coordinating to try to have a BSV 24/7 space going. So BSV is Bitcoin the Frog with the McDonald's hat next to you. He has been amazing guy, like hosting spaces for a long time. He's in Europe, and then we'll like take the torch and like pass the torch. So he was just doing a space for probably like 12-15 hours today, and now it's like close to bedtime. So now we're passing the torch. So we're just trying to get loosely coordinated whenever someone's available to get a 24/7 BSV support desk. So anything goes. We can talk about anything, and sometimes it gets crazy, but we try to keep it, balanced into Bitcoin. So yeah.
Wow. That's like one of the most amazing, unique things about this, this entire being involved in Bitcoin, because it's just it's organic what you guys are doing. It's not like anyone's telling you to do that. No one's paying you to do that. I mean, right? I don't think so. It's just this organic. That's like kind of goes along the lines with, some of the other visionary guys that, they've talked about how Bitcoin is a company. It's kind of like putting yourself back in the day, when you get your first job out of college, and you're really excited about the company, being a company man, and you're going to work together with and I'll tell you a story here for me. When I first got I worked at Macy's, which is a department store in college selling furniture. And then, when I was in college and just worked my way up in sales to the top. And then while I was there, I got the opportunity to go into a company called AmeriQuest, which was a big mortgage company, subprime mortgage company here in California, all over the United States. And so it was like, when I got to the company, I was one of the first guys from my fraternity to get in there. And it started just popping off, and we were just starting to I was having huge success with it. And so then all of a sudden I started calling in the guys from the fraternity, Delta Chi. We had like 20, we had about 15 to 20 guys in one branch from the fraternity. And it just became, we were all part of the company. We were all together, like unified in a group. However, we were really all part of the company, and the company was called AmeriQuest at the time. And so, but it was just like this, it was like a brotherhood in a way. It was a total brotherhood. It was all guys. There was no women. So, at all. Not that they weren't allowed, they just weren't drawn to it. And so, not that this isn't, women aren't here. It sounds like there's going to be really smart, intelligent women, the women at BSV and other places I've seen, but this is like, that type of environment from what I'm seeing, but it's more of an online space, and the company is Bitcoin, where everybody, just by being a part of it, the opportunity grows, and we had this thing at the time where everybody if we came together and we hit a certain number as a team, we all got paid a bonus. We got a $10,000 bonus for the month just for hitting a certain number as a team. So what we did is we'd like work around the clock, like you guys are all doing here, sitting on these calls on the phones and just driving it until we hit the goal. And, it may be advantageous to set a goal. It sounds like the goal is support and helping things grow, but has anyone considered about what like some of the goals would be for like a space like this? What would a success look like? Let's say that you do this for the next 30 days. What would success look like at the end of it? What would a goal be? Bose, have you thought about that?
Only briefly, and I didn't comment to any really strong answers. I think at the moment, one of the problems that, well, I don't know, does anyone else want to speak to that, goals over the next 30 days? Because it's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say is if we can keep like 30 people in the room with listening as an average, try to consistently stay at like 30 people that are in the space. I mean, I think that could be a good metric.
Anything else?
Well, that's great. Sounds like a very that's so by doing 30 people. And what have you thought about like what that's going to do? Is it going to build is it going to build a goal of like building momentum? Is that the outcome?
Yeah, 100%. It creates excitement. It keeps people excited and engaged, and they'll maybe be listening in a space. Maybe somebody comes up, asks a question, and then that person in the space that's listening can like quickly answer the question. So jump up as a speaker or something like that. Just a sense of community, and maybe someone outside of BSV can come in and ask questions about the ecosystem and whatnot. And we're just here to answer and give all questions and give good vibes and be kind and accepting anybody and everybody. Everyone's all welcome. Yeah.
Sounds like well, I mean, here's the questions that I always get. Like, well, how do I get started? Right. So this could be a place where I could send people to, and they could say, go here and find out, what's a good place?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bitcoin SV support desk 24/7 on Twitter Spaces. Go hang with those guys.
Oh.
Hey, please do this, man. Listen, I don't mean to butt in. I have my hand raised, but I never get any attention or called on, so I just rudely interrupted. I'm sorry, guys.
Go ahead,
Apologize
Chief.
for
I
that.
didn't see your hand. You must have a glitch, but go ahead.
All gravy, baby. I just caught the tail end of this conversation, and already I could tell that everybody's on to something here. I just got that vibe, you know what I mean? Like the vibe and the sense and the feeling that I just jumped into a really good space that's going to open up another realm of ideas and possibly get people to, hey, look over here. Look what we're doing. We're innovating again. We're number one again. So these are just cycles inside of cycles, right? Because everybody knows now BSV was the first one ever to do microtransactions. BSV was the first one ever to have a tokens protocol. BSV was the first one to ever have a decentralized exchange in real life, a global order book, so on and so on and so on, and so on and so on and so on. And now we're seeing all these other chains do what we've been doing for the last 5, 6 years, and such. And now's the time to actually do something to get more attention again. So we can repeat this cycle because in the ultimate reality, it's just cycles inside of cycles. It's like these never ending cycles. So just want to put that 2 cents in there. And people really need to stop being negative. I'm probably a guilty as fuck over it too. I get negative sometimes and call shit out and say things that probably inappropriate or anything, and that's not helping the community at all. Or our main goal is to pump in bags. We want everybody to hold vibes, huddle, look at us, innovate, and attract attention, so we can all be in this together and we all rise. So that's just my 2 cents. I just jumped in. Anybody want to update me on what the conversation was?
I've
Well
got a
said,
question.
Chief. Boom. Go ahead. Oh shit. Sorry.
I've got a question directly to Gavin. Um, Gavin, you know how Craig's or Enchain have got all these patents on blockchain and things like that. I was just wondering how long he's had the current patents, and I was also wondering that they've got a 20-year sort of, they expire in 20 years. So I was just sort of thinking if Copa or like all these other sort of people are able to bullshit or put off uh, everything, you know, for 10 or 20 years, like how do you see that sort of playing out? If they're able to, if Ethereum's still able to be Ethereum, if all these other blockchains or the whole crypto space is able to bullshit for years and years and years, do you think that they could to a point where no one acts on these patents or anything like that? But these patents aren't enforced or anything like that. I'm wondering why they're not enforced now that he's already got them.
Well,
Andreas,
it's a very good question. Very good question.
May
Let,
I interrupt real quick? And to hold the question, I don't mean to be rude, but I just want to say something before I lose my train of thought and can't think of it again. I'm thinking of something that can hold us all accountable as a community. So I like these ideas of I'm sorry to totally go off subject, but the whole chain race and all that stuff is boring to me. And I have to get it off my chest or I'm going to forget it and we'll never hear it again. So I'm thinking of a way to hold ourselves accountable amongst this community, to stay positive, to keep the vibes high, to just keep a very positive energy going in this ecosystem that's still so young and so far away from disruption. But just hold that thought. And everybody heard me speak. Everybody heard that thought. Everybody let it be in your mind. Let it resonate, and go on with that question. I'm sorry.
Greg, talk about your comment actually and your thoughts here, because I want to share a story. Is it Andreas, the gentleman that was making that comment? Who's the Andreas? Chief. Okay. Chief. All right. So let me, before we go over to the discussion about the patents, if I may, Bose, I want to just bring up a story here. It's very relevant to exactly what you guys are doing in this space. And I'll tie it back into what I started with. And that was, well, so I'm leaving college, right? And I'm very, very successful at a company. This is a furniture company, Macy's general department store. But, I knew it wasn't long-term. I never wanted to work there at a job like that for very long. I knew there was something better. I went ahead and I got promised of this dream that, there was this great opportunity with this other company. It was called AmeriQuest. I was going to go in there and I was going to make more money at this other job. And it was going to be a better environment. I was like, went in there, interviewed, and I was just super, super excited. we're going to knock this thing out of the park, And so I quit my job. I'm out of college, and literally I'm about 6 months now out of college at this time. And I'm like, all right, I quit the job. And I was making very good money at this job. Gone, flat out left, burned my bridges. I mean, I did a terrible job as burning my bridges at the job. Like I should have left on better terms, but I just walked out. So I couldn't go back. And I get to this company, and this is very relevant to like everything about this space right now, right? So I'm promised the minute thinking, no, it's going to be great. I go in there, I find out that it's the worst out of about 10,000. I say less about 5 or 6,000 branches in the entire nation. This was the last one. It was the worst in the whole place. So there's about 20 guys in an office, and they hired me in this branch. And of course, they make all these wild promises. I'm thinking it's going to be great. Finally, once I get started, I'm there, and I find out that it's the absolute lowest ranking producing in the entire company. Last place, humiliated, and I'm thinking like, wow. So I just left, and I get in there, and all they tell me is they say, I was promised I was going to learn how to make $10,000 a month, right? I'm like, you're going to be guaranteed you're going to learn how to make $10,000 a month. All they did was put paper on my desk and a phone, and they said, make these calls. I went in there, and I just literally got, hung up on for about 3 weeks to a month straight. And I just brutalized it. It was like, this is horrible. Here I am in the worst branch in the company. I left a good job. I'm all the way in last place. Now I'm making all these calls, and I'm getting nowhere. And I go into the guy's office, and I say, listen, you guys promised me that you were going to teach me how to make $10,000 a month when I got here. Now, all you've done is make me make these calls and get hung up on, get yelled at and humiliated. And I find out I'm in the worst branch in the whole company. And I said, when am I going to learn this? When am I going to figure this out? He's like, when's the secret going to come out? And he's like, you already have the secret. I'm like, well, what's the secret? He's like, believing that you can do it. You don't believe you can do it. So therefore you can't do it, and you'll never make it here. You'll never make $10,000 a month. And it really, it started the shift. It took about another 3 months. Okay. About another 3 months of grueling, just absolute humiliation of in the gutters of being yelled at and told no and hung up on over and over and over and over again. But by the 5th month, okay, this is the 5th month in the company, I'd made my determination I was going to be the number one in the whole company. And by the 5th month, out of 10,000 people, I hit the number one rank in that entire company, nationwide. No looking back. All right. And then I held the ranks for 20 months. And as soon as that happened, I hit the number one spot. I said, all right, guys, I started calling everybody in my fraternity, and I got the best guys into the branch. And then we just started moving momentum, building momentum. After a year at the company, we were the number one branch in the company. We went from the worst, think of BSV, the lowest ranking, solid project on coin market cap, being the lowest, the most hated, the worst of all. That was us. This is the true story. We were the lowest. We were nobody. And I'm telling you, I just said, screw it. I'm just going to stick to it. I'm not going to quit. And I'm going to make this, I'm going to do everything I can to make it the best, and just start bringing in all the right people, attracting the right guys to the community, and then just committing to it. Long hours. And eventually, it wasn't even eventually, it was 5 months. 5 months, I was number one. And within 1 year, we were the number one branch in the whole company. And we completely, out of 10,000, okay, this is not just a small thing. So, I mean, it was all about momentum. And once that momentum started, I'm telling you, man, it just caught on like wildfire. The positive like mindset and the moment and the tenacity of just go, go, go. So like this space right here, where you commit to it and you're on every day like this, doing a support, and you're supporting other people. If you keep that momentum going and you mark it every day, all right, that's day 1, day 2, day 3. All of a sudden you're going to hit day 30, and then you're going to say, shoot, I don't want to quit. We'll do 31 days. We'll do 32. Next thing you know, it's going to be 90 days out, and the BSV price will be like $300-$400. And you won't know, well, did we have something to do with that? Yeah, you did. You did have something to do with that. And it's just going to speed things up. It only just speeds up the inevitable momentum, because what's unique about Bitcoin, when I say Bitcoin, first of all, the name BSV is bullshit. All right. We got to get rid of that name. I'm sorry that everyone calls it that. That's just my personal opinion. All right. We have an amazing name. It's called Bitcoin. And we need to take that name back. And that's what this court case will hopefully result in. We'll be able to completely claim it back and get it out of the mindset of scams and what it's been associated with. Because it's still, I mean, it's what people know. When they hear Bitcoin, they still have the people who are not embedded in the space, they still think good about it. It has an incredible name. There's a small fraction. We're like a little sliver of what could be. And so with or without the name, there's still the technology's there, the people are there, and everything's on the right track, you know? And so you wanted to share that story with you guys to give you kind of a perspective with where I see things. You know, I'm here because that's where I see things. I've been there. I started at the bottom and worked my way to the top. And that's where BSV is. It's this little unknown. It's unknown or just been completely slammed, but it's not going to be unknown for long. And it's going to have a huge emergence. It will have a huge emergence. And I'm not talking about investments. You know, I tell people, do not invest, just participate, do something, build, just get on, play games, have at least one, just one, and let it see where it takes you. Because the more people that have one, you think about it in the future, we're going to be transacting in Satoshis. You know, how far out is that going to be? A year, 2 years? It really comes down to how much longer do we have in the fiat system? Do we have another 6 months, 5 years? How much longer is fiat going to be around until it just completely becomes worthless? These are questions that will basically develop this. And so you think about it though, as the fiat system starts to go down and, it starts to unfold, what's been rising in the wings? Yeah, gold and silver. Yeah, it's lawful money and it's lawful current. Okay, but who uses gold and silver to transact? Nobody does. So what do we transition to? I mean, it's literally in the perfect situation right now to transition the momentum for people to have digital cash, electronic cash. I mean, that's where this is going, you guys. There's no question about it. And so we want to just have that mindset. I mean, think about it. If you could just travel to the future just a little bit, what it would be like. I mean, is there any question? Is there any variables that something else is going to be built better than built Bitcoin? One of these SHA-256, is there going to be another chain that's going to be somehow take over the SHA-256 dominance? I mean, I'm just not seeing how. I would love to entertain, a discussion on how, but I just don't see how it's going to happen. And so that brings up your patent comments or, questions there, Bose. I mean, if you think about how this whole thing is played out. Now, I was personally there when Satoshi made the announcement in Dubai. All right. I was there and I was in the room. Now, let me just tell you the story as to what happened. So, he's given the keynote speech and it's, in front of about 500 people. And I'm sitting there with Xiaowei and myself and his, S-Crypt guys and a young lady here in a little small group in the back of the room. And he's coming out on stage and he's mapping out the overall strategy for, Bitcoin. Okay. And it's highly, highly strategic strategy in an understanding of not only in law, but in the economy and the economics portion of it. And in, I would say almost like a military tactical strategy. Now he made the very confident statement, which was very humble of him, that he decided that he wasn't going to crush the little guy. Well, he could, because you asked about the patents, right? You asked, well, what about these patents? Why aren't they being enforced? Well, he decided at that event, and he'd already been working with Xiaowei on this. I don't know how long, a year, 2 years before, they were going to build Ethereum on Bitcoin. And so it was that event that they announced the integration with, the Ethereum programming language Solidity on S-Crypt, to where it was just one line of code and you could put Solidity right on Bitcoin. And so it was that announcement that he said, you can either join us. So he gave Ethereum notice. You can join us. We're going to build your project on here for you and save all the money and gas fees, or we'll see you in court. Now, so there's a period where he's letting that happen. That exact timeline, if it's a year, 2 years, I don't know. But there's a period, a notice period, an opportunity period for them to begin to join and migrate. It's really the developers, it's the coders. They have to become aware that it's possible, that they can just transition right onto Bitcoin and with Solidity and still keep doing Ethereum. They can still use Ethereum. That's fine, but it's on Bitcoin. And it becomes a much cheaper project. So that has to, first of all, completely be absolutely shunned, and saying, and the Ethereum guys refuse, I guess, to do that with plenty of notice and opportunity. And then at that point, then the patent litigation would begin. So that's going to be a judgment call and a strategy call from the top guys at nChain as to when they would make that decision. Because yes, the smart contract patent exists on nChain, at nChain right now. So you've got a smart contract patent that was issued before, that was applied for before Ethereum started, and Ethereum started coming up with these concepts. So therefore, they are in a possible, of course, it's not, we can't say violation until the court determines, but they are in a possible breach of contract. So they got a couple of opportunities. One, they can migrate onto Bitcoin. Or two, they could pay a licensing fee to nChain. Or three, they can just do nothing. And then at that point, patent litigation will begin. Patent litigation is extremely expensive, extremely tough, and they're very, and when patents are written tight, they're hard to get around and beat. They're very brutal. So with the entire fortress of patents around nChain, some 4,000 applied for, like 1,000 or something issued. It's like this giant wall, around Bitcoin. It's this giant wall around the entire Bitcoin space. Because I wish I had the knowledge and the time to really like read and understand every single patent, but it's definitely something we got to talk about with Zim or other people, and Craig himself, who's really the author of these patents. And I would say, the creator of Bitcoin is probably the best guy to write the patents, especially if he understands how to write, legal documents incredibly well. And so now it's just but it takes a really thick understanding of whether or not the patents are sound. Are they sound? Mathematically, scientifically, along the lines of Bitcoin, are they truly sound? That's really going to take a court to determine that. But it really cut that part right there. It comes down to the believing you can do it part. I mean, if the patents are a bluff and Ethereum does nothing, I mean, are the patents a bluff? It's a really, really, I don't think so. I would say I have read the Ethereum smart contract patent, the one that was issued. There's 2 or 3 around that. And those are definitely, I would say they are definitely going to be requiring a court's determination. They're not frivolous patents. Those are not frivolous. They're sound, at least enough to require determination. So this is a long-term strategy playing out right now in front of us. And I'm just glad and grateful to be on the winning team, or the team that's going to be winning now. I've been on enough losing teams already. I've already found out the hard way. I mean, anyone else was hit hard by the Luna scam, and that was my end all. I said, this is really it. I am not getting slammed by another scam. I'd been in the ICO thing in 2017 and 2016, and I thank God did well on some of them. But there was a lot of scams too. And so once the Luna thing got going, I thought I was playing it safe by putting all the profits in UST, the stable coin. And then I remember meeting with Xiaowei. We were going to go to coffee or something like that. And I told him, I said, well, my Luna investment just went to zero. It was a scam. They overnight, it went to 20, it was like $20, 20 cents on the dollars. And then I thought, no way, it's not going to keep going down. It can't, it's going to go back up. This got to be wrong. And then it was like, 2 cents or something, and so it all went to, and I say that only because we have to realize that that's what the entire all these other things are. They're just another Luna. BTC is another Luna. I mean, what's, where you're in a Ponzi scheme, so it's just mindful that we've got to focus on utility and adding all this value for people. There's so much being built right now on the Bitcoin space that is allowing people to, going to allow people to literally change the entire internet and the entire world as we know it. I mean, I'm looking at this from a really a very, evaluating it from like all these different angles and different people before I really want to put myself out there with this. It's been years before I decided to do that. I mean, it's been years. I mean, I was involved in the Bitcoin forks, I wouldn't call them the splits now, where BTC forked and BCH then forked again from the original protocol, because BSV never forked at all. It just stayed along the same line. So I was involved in that, and I was watching it all happen, kind of playing out, then investigating everything. But it wasn't until I went to the Dubai, met people in Dubai in person, and then again in London, and I met everybody, sat down with everybody, or not everybody, but a lot of people. And it really all came to light that this is real. This is not, Bitcoin is a company, and it's here to stay, guys. This is a long-term thing. It's not going to happen overnight, but like spaces like this is going to keep on building momentum. So there's a few minutes on a soapbox for me. So, we can table back over to you guys for a few minutes. But it really is a momentum thing. Okay. And that's where I think you guys are on the right track. I'm really grateful to be a part of that, because, we come in here, we can start growing, and I could drive traffic in here. They're going to want to learn about this. How do I get support? If we have a support like this, that's huge, because, we can, and it's, motivational speeches are fun for me, and I like doing things like that. It's a lot of fun. I've done a lot of speeches. I had a company that, we had about 100 and something guys in a big sales group, and every day we'd get up and do a motivational talk on different things. But this is not just, this is what we're doing here is much bigger than motivation. This is actually world changing. I mean, here's something I'm trying to drive this point home into other groups, okay, of people. And one group is like about this law. Okay, I wouldn't say law. It's more of a freedom center group where, you got group with moms, and they're upset about political things, and they want freedom. They just want freedom. They want to be left alone. And it really, what I'm really trying to get to them, so begin to open their minds about, is like, well, when you begin to control your money, then you're not relying on someone else. And not, when I say control your money, I mean having a lot of money. That's not what I'm saying. Actually, you transact peer-to-peer with the next guy, like they used to do with gold and silver. Like you still could do right now, but we can't do that on the internet. And so, but when we can transact peer-to-peer through Bitcoin SV, we actually, you know what that makes us? Sovereign. Because eventually, then we don't need anybody at all in between us. We're not relying on anyone. And once you're no longer relying on someone for your money, that's what sovereignty is. Because think about it. What is the one thing that is always the focus of control? The money. He who controls the money controls the world. Hasn't that been the theme for the entire last 200-300 years, maybe throughout history? And this is what makes this invention here so unique and special, is that it's for the first time puts the sovereignty back into the people. back into the common everyday man. We get to transact for micro cents. Has there ever been a time that you could send pennies back and like fractions of a cent between each other anywhere? I mean, it's just
attractive to the normal person. Oh wow, we can send pennies to each other. Pennies.
yeah, it does. But the normal person though, maybe you're thinking, maybe here in California, yeah, Bay Area, they don't care about that. You're right. But the normal person is.
They don't see the innovation and tokenizing everything. They don't see.
Well,
like
we gotta get out. We gotta get out of the people that don't. They don't. I really don't care. That's like, hold on. Let me, we've got to think. We've got people on the other side. Oh, BTC is never going to get it. They're never going to get it. That's fine. That's okay. We don't want them. They don't need to get it. It's all good. We just got to keep taking action and doing what we're doing. Okay. And moving forward. Some will, some won't. So what? Next.
Well, if you haven't noticed, it's already been taking place. Again, like I said earlier, BSV was the first one to have tokens protocol. BSV was the first one to have a real global order book. No decentralized exchange. We were the first to innovate in this space, period. Right? And now you see other teams copying us. Right now is the time to do something new again and say, look, we've taken this innovation to another new level. And as long as we keep them cycles going, we'll always gather more attention. So how do we gain this, place game theory amongst this space right here and the topics that we're talking about? How do we game this? Let's place game theory into this to attract more people into this ecosystem of good that's going to enable everybody to be as equally as powerful as everybody else. I just now, like today, started looking more deeply into BSV. I haven't done it in months, and I'm seeing a lot of cool things. I like vibes. Why are we not awarding people like Gavin with vibes tokens? Because the vibes in the space, he raised them. I think he needs to be tipped. Or how do we send some like getting the HODL token and like put actual meaning behind this? That's where I'm at. That's my mindset, and that's where I like everybody else to be. I know that I've probably been a problem in the space lately and shit like that. Ultimately, I'm a BSV at heart, man, and I'm not going nowhere. So I just want to see better. Everybody do better. If I win, everybody else wins. If you guys win, I win.
Well, and that's the whole reason why Bitcoin works so well, because when you win, I win. It's the company. It's the mindset of having the Bitcoin as a company. And when you unite around one company, that company absolutely accelerates. When you diversify and you split off and you start making side chains and little altcoins, those other little projects, they just take away our power to unite like this. And so by coming together,
Something that might not go away though, and we have to accept that might not go away, Calvin. What we can accept is the fact that we can continue to take this innovation to another level and introduce new ideas and new things to the entire crypto ecosystem as a whole.
exactly. And here's the beauty of it is that we welcome those altcoins, Bitcoin. I mean, specifically the project in Dubai. I mean, when
Still haven't done what we've done to the fullest. They're just now implementing tokens. They're just now implementing NFTs,
are you
non-fungibles. Listen, hear me out, Mel. Listen, Gavin. They still haven't figured out how to break up ownership into millions of pieces. That's where sending a penny through the internet comes into place that they haven't touched on yet, that we still got.
well
I'm sure they will figure that out, but by the time they figure that out, we've already advanced 10 more years because Bitcoin's working the way it's supposed to work. It's just cycles inside of cycles inside of cycles inside of cycles.
Well, if we let's talk about like Ethereum, narrow the focus, because I'm not familiar with every single altcoin, but let's just talk about Ethereum, and on Ethereum, that's the big whale, right? So because it's been now completely built onto Bitcoin, the beauty is it doesn't, none of the little guys who are working and using Ethereum have to suffer. Nobody, they all actually get to thrive. It becomes a win-win where they now get to use Ethereum the same way they're doing. And just with one single line of code, they can now use Solidity on Bitcoin and no longer have to pay last week I sent $50 to a young lady overseas in US Tether. She wanted Tether. And for me to buy the Tether, pay the credit card fees of $4 that's 54. And then $8 in gas fees. That was another about $16 total that I had to pay to send 50 by using Ethereum. So once it's a matter of like when people finally, begin to merge, the developers have to realize that and figure it out. And oh, wow, one line of code, I can just work on Solidity over here on Bitcoin. Then it happens. It begins to really happen.
BSP is going to run your whole entire ecosystem, no matter what its fiat value is. To me, what you just said is a fiat mindset. So I'm on this level of like a new world money, period. Not a money that is valued in fiat, not a money that is valued and measured in our old ways, but a system that is valued in new ways. Example, hot locker. If you got so much locked up onto some information that is needed, and that's a signal to me that information is important. That is a new form of money to me, as it is valuable, because I can see that there's 21 million coins locked to this information. Feel me? You see where I'm going with this? So this totally
This trial, like, there's not enough evidence to say that Craig said, like, it could all go wrong. It could be a horrific range train crash. But if it goes right, if it goes right, then there's a lot of games that the other side could play as well, and they can drag it out for a long time. But even then, like Gavin, I was out in Dubai too, and I saw Dr. Wright's speech about Ethereum as well. And that's what we were talking about this evening in the previous space before you turned up was, you can stake Cardano and Ethereum and Litecoin and even BTC on the BSV network.
Wow.
And you can take that value and reissue it. As long as you lock it up, you can reissue it on BSV as a token, and then they can move that around at the speed of light or whatever, 1 million transactions per second for 1/1000 of a penny each.
So it seems like with the spaces like this, those developers could get some support questions that they would have. Where do I go? What do I do?
I think we have questions for them too, and I think everybody has questions, right? Because it's early. It's like we don't know what's going on. Like, shall we just release TypeScript compiler for Bitcoin script on BTC this week?
What now?
You could expect to see a tsunami of BTC people come over.
Can you explain what exactly that means? What does the compiler do with from Xiaowei?
So it allows developers to write smart contracts in TypeScript. So the TypeScript is basically it will compile Bitcoin script, but the modified Bitcoin script for BTC that's been fucked with, excuse me, and had something. What did they put in there? They put something called TapScript. So what Xiaowei Lu's done is basically write. I'm not sure exactly if you call it a module, but you know what an IDE is? Development environment.
IDE?
Yeah, like when you like Visual Studio Code, you open it up and it's got like all kinds of different colors of the code and stuff like that, so you can put your code together and it all looks pretty and you can navigate your way around the code. It's an IDE. So just if you're wanting to compile your smart contract, create your smart contracts for BTC, then you can basically write that in TypeScript, which is like a very, very basic. Well, how would you say TypeScript's like a very widely used computer programming language, I guess. That just will describe other languages, and in this case, it's the BTC, the modified Bitcoin code in BTC, including TypeScript. So Bitcoin script and TypeScript. Now, here's the issue with that is their code, their script in BTC, they switched a whole load of features off. So there's going to be a whole bunch of developers out there going, oh, this is great, this is fun, this is wonderful, but I can't do the thing that I want to do. They can almost do stuff.
So it's kind of like
They can do it at like 7 transactions per second.
kind of like a Trojan horse.
$20. You know, it's not even a Trojan horse. It's just like it was intentionally designed to do all this stuff, and they limited it. So now they're going to have a whole bunch of developers going, oh, we want to do this, but we can only do it at 7 transactions per second. Hey guys, come over onto this chain, and you can do everything that you want. And then it works. You can go back to BTC, and I bet you the likelihood is they come up to BSV and they stay over at BSV. But why would they? You know.
So I jumped up here, guys. Hey, talk about this very specifically. So thank you for letting me join. Good evening. Good evening. Hi, friends. Gavin, my story. I don't know if I've shared it with you. You know, seen you on our show, so it's nice to talk to you again.
Good to see you, Zach. Yeah, awesome, man. I love your content. I would love to.
My story is very what Bo just described. So in 2020, I had been working on Ethereum for about 3 years. At that point, I was CTO of a company. We had won, startup awards on 3 continents, a whole bunch of credibility building things, filling the gaps here, right? And gas fees eventually went too high for the customer base that we were serving, and that taught me a lot about variable fee cost in business. That said, in right around February 2020, so just around the time of the genesis of BSV, or the regenesis, I started looking for new shit. You know, we were all affected by COVID in different ways. I had just moved to Chicago. I was in a really nice building, but a very small apartment, 500 square feet basically, overpaying, and I couldn't leave because Chicago was a crazy lockdown city. And I kind of said to my business partners at the time, like, I'm not happy with what we're working on. I'd like to think about other things that we can do, right? Like, this isn't working. I like my team, blah, 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 blah. Anyhow, so I started looking at new things that we can do. And I hadn't really looked at other chains in 3 years at that point. I had looked at, Polygon and Tron, or Polygon, I think was the only one at the time, because it was cheaper, but it was still Ethereum. And through my path, I ended up evaluating a few different options. I think one that I kind of landed on at the time that I liked was EOS. I liked the model. It made sense. You rent server space, basically. You know, there was an analogy to the real world. But I also tried BCH, and this is the important part. I had liked Bitcoin before 2017 when I started developing on Ethereum, but you couldn't really do what we wanted to do, so we had to use Ethereum. And right around that time on BCH, there were these couple of services. One was Memo Cash, and they had just introduced SLP tokens. So it was like the first version of tokens on Bitcoin Cash, and I thought that was really cool. So I noticed that we could start programming on these flavors of Bitcoin, and I found a tool that was called Bitcoin Computer at the time. You may know the very similar technology called Run, which kind of dominated for about 3 years. But either way, back then I was working on a toolset, or with a toolset that was called Bitcoin Computer. And the two options were Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV. And for me, like, I had done some research, but I didn't really deep dive into it. You know, the first couple of pages of Google were like, Bitcoin SV is a scam. So I chose Bitcoin BCH at the time. And the prices weren't that much different. But in a couple of months, the prices dropped on BCH. Dropped on BSV, and all I had to do in the code was like change one setting, right? I didn't have to write any new code. I just had to change one setting, and all of a sudden, I could send more transactions, and it was cheaper for me, and so there was no turning back after that. So I think what Bo's just described as a path forward for people who want to develop on Bitcoin to find S scripts for BTC, find that S script can do so much more than it allows for them to do on BTC, and just toggle that button real quick, they're going to try it and fall in love with it and probably not look back. That's just my thought on how this is going to work.
That seems like exactly what happened with you. You tried it, and it just absolutely, there was no going back.
Right. So from my own personal lived experience, I can see this happening to a lot of other developers too.
Ah, seems like that was even
There we
before.
go.
Yeah.
We got it.
I mean, and now it's even grown so much more since then. I guess it's even easier since the time that you were probably getting into it.
It's different, but it is much better. So back then, we hadn't had a 1 GB block yet. Now we have 4 GB blocks regularly. So I was taking some things on faith, right? That these big blocks would be possible. You don't have to take that on faith anymore. I had to take on faith back then that fees would drop instead of increase. That sounded illogical in the face of like how quote Bitcoin works. But over the 4 years that have, since then, we've seen transaction fees do nothing but go down. And when it seemed like it might be in the best interest to raise them a little bit, Tal was like, nope, 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 we're Terranode or nothing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, some of the things that might have continued to push people away when I made that decision back then, those considerations don't exist anymore. And we've, like on this network, created technological feats of advancement that if you're willing to look at, and I think more developers will be willing to look at if it just takes like a toggle switch, it makes plainly obvious that SV is a better place to be developing.
That's very encouraging. Super encouraging.
Sounds good, right? Sounds good. And then the question is, how fast can we do this? So earlier we were talking about bridges. So you've seen a lot of these bridges, you've seen a lot of this DeFi stuff. On the other chains, obviously you had a bad experience with Luna. One of the biggest problems that we have on SV is being so, what's the word? Disconnected from the cryptocurrency industry that we can't get Tether and USDC liquidity on this chain. So there's people that come over, build DeFi things now and then, but they kind of they give up and go away. But we've been talking about bridges this evening and like bridging stuff in, crossing over from one chain to the other, that kind of thing. So, and I mean, what Zach's talking about is Bitcoin script, but as you mentioned earlier, people can compile Ethereum contracts using the escrow, Xiaowei Ethereum compiler. So maybe we can do that. Maybe he can do that with the Cardano logic as well. And maybe he can do it with, I don't know, the Solana logic, right? And just bear in mind that those guys are companies. They're
Yo, Gavin,
POS,
you
they're
have any hodl?
companies.
Hey, Chief, I can't add you for some reason. Maybe try leaving and coming back. Thank you, sir.
Hey, Gavin, do you have any hodl, sir?
Pardon?
Do you own any of the hodl token?
HODL token?
Yes, sir. It's it's a token, Gavin, on BSV that's like a lock to mint. That was sort of came out a few months ago. This new type of protocol where you can lock some Bitcoin for a certain duration, and then it mints for you like a BSV 20 token or LRC 20 token.
Yeah, why I'm asking is because right now there's developers who developed hodl locker. They're looking to potentially, now that hodl locker is open source, there've been discussions from developers saying they could potentially implement this token called HODL, which is the first lock to mint on-chain asset that in history, and potentially implement it with HODL locker. That's why I was just curious if you knew about the token.
Hey, unfightable. If I raised 100 BSV, would you eat a poo sandwich?
Oh, come on, Harry. We're not going there. I'm gonna kick you, bro.
I just
So the argument I heard against using HODL as like some base currency for HODL locker is that the 21 million HODL can't be divided. There's 0 decimal places after the token. I mean, after the number.
Yeah, that's a use case. That's a feature, not a bug. It's like,
You know what's
when
funny,
you have
Zach, is Bose actually used ChatGPT and asked AI what could be a solution for that, and the AI responded that you can just prepay a miner. It'll be an account-based system that you have with the miner, but you would just prepay them for like 10,000 transactions worth or something.
I don't think he would appreciate being called ChatGPT.
But yeah, Zach, I was going to say,
It would be great if we could put that together. Like, what is the ultimate goal here? Where you guys are taking on this, it's really a gargantuan task. I mean, a constant space for 30 days. I mean, that's like a giant, I mean, it's an amazing goal. And so in order to stay motivated, it's a hard goal to hit, man. That's a freaking big deal. And so when you do that, like, what is it that you want to achieve by doing it? What's the ultimate?
I think we need a website at least, and one of us is building a kind of version of the spaces. So you have to pay to speak, and then when I think, well, you know what? I'm not quite sure about how it works. BSV is Bitcoin. You wanna talk to Gavin about this, or have you got your head in code at the moment?
He might have passed out. He was did the legendary 14-hour space earlier today. He's in Denmark, so he's maybe getting disease.
Yeah, I was a little bit in and out. Thank you so much for the
Oh,
compliment.
legend, legend.
I'm so tired, but thank you. Super awesome. You bring the vibes, Gavin. Really, it's very refreshing to hear your like thoughts, just in general about Bitcoin and how everything is should put together. I didn't catch what you asked me to speak on.
Well, the really in simple terms is the goal of the space. I mean, it sounds like the goal is to be on the space consistently for a month or for the next 30 days. And what is the outcome? And I think one of the things that Bose you mentioned was a possible website, and then the website could do certain functions like potentially attract other, was it Ethereum and other projects?
Well, I mean, I just registered. That literally found out, but no, BSV is Bitcoin. The Bitcoin broadcast. He's building something. Go ahead, Bitcoin broadcast.
Oh yeah, okay. Thank you so much. So I have listened a lot and tried and participate with you guys and hear all the mints, and I came up with sort of the idea of starting bitcoinspaces.net, and I hope for that place to be through proof of work, mainly by locking or tokens to create sort of more incentivized spaces where people can really hone in on the topics that they want to develop inside of the decentralized space we call Bitcoin. So I mean, yeah, in general, we'll be doing the same thing we're doing right now, just sort of with Bitcoin layered on top of it, gamified. You could call it gamified X spaces, I guess, just with Bitcoin. Um, and yeah, I guess that's the general idea.